computer. All right, well, good morning and welcome to everybody who's joined us this morning. Very glad to be here with you. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to tell you a little background about me, how I got started doing what I'm doing. My background has nothing to do with career research, but I just sort of fell into. I'll tell you a little history about CareerDFW and Career USA. We'll take a look at the websites live as long as the internet cooperates. And then we'll take a break then. And then after the break, we'll come back and I'm going to sort of focus on 3 areas I think you need to focus on in your job search. And if you have any questions, just put them in the chat box. I am monitoring that feed. And if I see anything pop up, I will be sure to ask that. And just FYI, I've got 3 different monitors in front of me. So I've got one over here, I've got one in the middle, and I've got one on this side. So if you see me looking back and forth, it's because I'm checking out different monitors just to see the feeds of what's going on. So my background, I've got 20 plus years in light manufacturing. I've been in I started out when I moved here to Texas in VHS tapes, producing, we had 600 VHS decks. From there, I went to printing press accessories. From there, I went to, what else did I do after that? I actually went back in the videotape business for a couple of years, driving out to Greenville, Texas. About 50 miles from my house each way. After that, got involved in high dollar curtains, like $1,000 for a pair of curtains, producing those. So, widgets are widgets. It really didn't make any difference what I was producing, but it was all light manufacturing. In 2007, I started facilitating and leading the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. The group's been around since the late 1990s. The guy who was leading it at the time had gotten a job and said, who wanted to take over? I think I scratched my face. He said, okay, Jeff, you're it. So I've been doing that since 2007. In 2008, I started CareerDFW.org because one of the things I noticed is when you drive down the street, there's no sign in front of the church or whatever the organization is saying, unemployed, come here tonight at 6 o'clock. Come here this morning at 9 o'clock. There's no sign out there. So how would you find out about these things? So I thought, well, there's got to be a better way to share all this information. So I put together, I received a list. I'd actually gone to a career placement center here in the DFW area, and they gave me a list of all the current networking groups in the DFW area that they knew about. The list was dated January 1st, 2006, 2.5 years. The list was 2.5 years old. So that became my main focus, is to try to find all these networking groups and put them on a website to make it easy for everybody to find all these groups. 8 months after we launched the website, we became a 501, became a Texas nonprofit corporation. And 11 months after we launched, I got a letter from the IRS. It's not often you're excited about getting a piece of mail from the IRS in your mailbox, but I can remember that day going out and there's a nice thick little letter with all sorts of documents in it, saying that I have been approved to be a 501c3. It's a 32-page application, 107, 110-page application book, and I got it on the first try. So I was very happy about that. And it was important for me that CareerDFW become a 501c3 because I wanted everybody to know that, number one, if you made donations to us, it was fully tax deductible. And the second part of it was there was some other networking, there's some other, at the time, there was a large networking group who had failed to become a 501c3. And so my mission was, well, if they couldn't do it, I'm going to make sure I get it done. So that's the reason I really pushed that. In 2012, I wrote a book called What I've Learned About Your Job Search That You May Not Know. The book's available on Amazon for 15 bucks. If you want to drive by my house, if you live in the DFW area, I'll sell it to you for $10. You can throw 10 bucks out the window and I'll try to throw a book in your window as long as you drive really slowly. The book sort of became because of what I was doing for the Friday networking group, and I had speakers in 3 out of every 4 Fridays of the month. I was always catching these little tips and learning about careers and about what to do. So this book is a bunch of compilations of things that I've learned over the years And my brain's getting almost full enough to start thinking about writing a second book here to sort of expand this one. In 2012, I also was invited to go to the White House Forum of Job Clubs and Career Ministries. It was in the, actually got to go to the White House. Obama was out campaigning at the time, but we got to hear from the Secretary of Labor. There were 110 people from all of the United States there. I was the only person from the state of Texas, probably Texas, Oklahoma. I think I met somebody from Louisiana, but the only one from Texas there. It was really fascinating to meet other people who were doing things on a bigger scale. There were a number of workforce offices from around the country that were there talking about how they, how they help their customers, their clients. But one of the things I learned while I was there is that nobody else was doing what I was doing with CareerDFW on a bigger scale. Everybody may have had their own little church website or, whatever little site they were doing, but they didn't think about the bigger community. So when I came back, we were rebuilding the websites. So we split up the website, and so October 12th, 2012, we launched CareerUSA.org to help people outside the DFW area. How do we survive? We survive by volunteers like you. I tell everybody, you're the eyes and ears of the website. Everybody hears the saying, if you see something, say something. If you see something and you don't see it on my website, please let me know about it. If you see a job fair coming up, if you see a networking group that you're going to and it's not on my website, please, I want to include everybody on there. I'm the kind of manager, when I was a manager, you knew what was going on in the company. I'm sure people who work for managers or who just will say, you just do your job. You don't need to know what else is going on around here. I want to share everything. So if you see something, if it's not on my website, please let me know so I can go and add it to the website. We have no employees. We have no full-time, no part-time employees. Everything I've done since 2008 has been as a volunteer. I don't get paid to do this. I don't take any money out. I put in the first couple $1,000 to get us going, to buy the website names, to get the web hosting. But since then, donations have sort of picked up everything. So 100% volunteers. Donations pay for the business cards. Not that we can pass any business cards out right now. It's hard to do that via computer. But the web hosting, the web names, the state and federal filings that we have to do. Donations can be done. You can either mail a check in or there's a PayPal link, and I'll show that to you on the website in just a second. And also all the proceeds from the book also go to support CareerDFW. At the same time we started the website, we started LinkedIn groups. LinkedIn is very, very important. The CareerDFW LinkedIn group started back on November 17, 2008. Currently over 12,800 members. So if you're looking to expand your connections, this is a great way to expand your connections. We've got a Career USA LinkedIn group that we started when we started Career USA. You can join both. You don't have to, you don't have to be in the DFW area to be in the DFW LinkedIn group. We also have a Facebook page, a CareerDFW Facebook page. I'll tell you a little bit more about that a little later. We do broadcast live on that every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and other special events as we can. And we also have we started a Career USA YouTube channel. This recording will be posting up to the Career USA YouTube channel later this afternoon. So anybody who wants to find out more about CareerDFW and how to use it in their job search will be able to do that. So let's take a look at the websites. All right, so here is the CareerDFW website. Drop-down menus across the top, like all websites. Oop, come on, mouse. Let me move a couple things around here on my screen to make it easier for me to see. All right, there's a couple different headers across the top of it. Don't, just changes, rotates through. There's a career tip of the week, and I just noticed that my tip of the week is not updating on this website. It's correct on the Career USA website, but not here. So I will be working on that this afternoon. I will figure that out. At the beginning of every year, when you switch from year to year, things sometimes stop working. If you're trying to find a networking group holding an online meeting, you can click right here and you can, it'll take you to a calendar, and I'll show you that in just a second. If you know somebody who just lost their job, if you click here, it will open up Career USA. I have a one-page article with some great handout, checklist on what you should be doing first, second, and third, some really good information. I thought it was important that you know that you're not the only person on the website. So when I clicked on this site, this was probably about a half hour ago, there were 128 people on the website. Every time you go to a new page, and when we click to a new page here, that number will change just depending on who's currently on the site. CareerDFW training right here in the middle. This is the training that we're doing every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I'll explain more about that after the break. If you'd like to join the CareerDFW LinkedIn group, you click right here, see how it changes to a hand. If you're already a member of the group, if you click there, it will take you to the discussion page and you can see what people are talking about. If you're not, if you'd like to join the Career USA group, you can, LinkedIn group, you can click right here. If you're interested in a copy of the book, it'll take you to a page on a couple options on how you can get a book. If you'd like to donate, you can click right down here at the very, very bottom. All right, well, the calendar is what most people use. This is the biggest part of the website, and there's several different ways to view things. First thing we're going to do is we're going to look at the everything calendar. And for the everything calendar, there's a couple different ways, default ways to use it. First, we'll go to the graphical view first. All right, so up here at the very top, these are all instructions. I know, guys, you don't tend to follow instructions. You don't read the instructions very often, but if you're lost and you can't figure out what every color means on here, all the buttons and everything, they're all right here at the very, very top. If you see something that's not listed, here's my email address. Send it, let me know if you see something so I can get it added on the calendar. So here's the calendar of everything going on this week. And if you scroll down, there's even things happening at nighttime. So gold is today's color. The red line is where we currently are. If we click on this gold event, this is how to use CareerDFW. So this is what we're currently doing right now. There are different events. The blue network, the blue are networking groups. So this is the Fort Worth Career Search Network meeting that's going on right now. In fact, I'll go back to that again here. And when you scroll down, so when we can meet, there's a map. So if this, right now it's online, but there's currently a map available if you want to see how to get there. And here are all the details and links to log in, all the details about the group. At the very bottom here, it says more details. There is never more details. I will always put everything I know in the description box. So just be sure to scroll down to be able to capture all that information. If you're using a Google Calendar, and if you want to put this event on your calendar, you can click right here to copy to my calendar, and it will stick the event on your calendar. This is a Google Calendar. This is what I've been using since we got started all these many years ago. Please note, for those people out of town, all the events are in Central Time, because I know we've got people who are joining from other parts of the country right now. So here's what's going on today, tomorrow, the next day, the next day. If you want, let's say it's Saturday and you want to see what's coming up next week, you can click right on this little right arrow that says next period, and it will show you what's going on next week. And you can click again and you can see the following week, and then you can see the following week, and you can see all the different events that are on there. So if we click back on today, it will go and take us back to today, what's happening here. You can print this calendar out, but be very, very careful. You can kill a lot of trees, because as you see, there's a lot of detail on this calendar, and there's about 6 or 8 or 10 options that you can turn things on and off. So if you're going to print something out, please hit preview. Preview what you're going to print first. I mean, date ranges. Do you want descriptions? It'll put the maps. It'll put all the details on how to get to those locations. Just be very, very careful what you print out. This is the week view. For those of you who use a Google Calendar, you know that there's a 1-day view, a 2-day view, but for some reason, they don't give us that. They don't give me that view to allow you all to do these things. The month view is a waste of time because if you see, it's just, here's 11 more events, here's 12 more events, 26 more events. It doesn't work very well. But the agenda view is very, very useful because what it will do is, here's the very, very first event for the day. You can click and open up. It's in the exact same colors as the map. And you can go through and you can find out about all these different things that are going on. Now you are going to see, like if you see right here, here is one event that that I'm talking about right now, and then here is the exact same event a second time. Here is the Fort Worth Career Search Network, and here it is a second time. The purple happens to be the webinar calendar. So if you just want to see what's going on online, that's why it's here. The blue one is for the networking groups that are meeting in the DFW area. The gold is for any special workshops that are going on. So that's why it's here. It's here in gold. And it's also here in purple, the exact same thing. I do that so depending on what calendar you go to, you make sure you see everything that's going on. Now there's this little button over here, this little down arrow. This is the gem that I really like when using the agenda view, because if you open it up, you can go and eliminate things. So let's get rid of, we'll get rid of this, we'll get rid of this, and we'll get rid of this. So now we're just going to be looking at special career workshops and webinars that are going on. So this list has now gotten smaller. And if we go back to the week view, you can see that you're now looking at less things. And if you just want to see special events that are going on, you can even see less. You can put things back in if you want. You can add groups. You can take away things. So it makes the calendar a little bit easier to use. Okay. So that was the everything calendar. You can only use that drop-down menu if you're using the everything calendar. If you just want to see job fairs, which there aren't many job fairs going on right now, I think there's one in the DFW area coming up in a couple weeks. I got an email about that. But special workshops, networking group meetings in blue. Most of these meetings are not meeting in person. I do know Southlake is meeting in person on Thursday morning, but you can still also watch them via Zoom. The career networking groups, the ones in an Aqua, those are those 4, 6, 8, 12-week programs that repeat themselves over and over again. So you can go to it, you can jump in anytime you want and learn things. Here's that webinar teleseminar calendar. So if you were to go and click on that, it would take you to all the events that are going on online only. So that way you'd be able to see, here are different things that you can do in the Dallas-Fort Worth area that are happening online. Or the bottom one here is actually a radio show. And here's Foster's radio show, Tuesdays at 5 o'clock. So those are all there on that calendar. All right, the group tab. This was really the first page I built on the website back in 2008. And I had a list of all the networking groups. And it was just an updated list from that list from 2006 that I received. I updated that. And then here's a list of all the networking groups that had workshops, that had those reoccurring workshops. Somebody said, Jeff, hey, the list is great, but how do I find a group in my local area? And back when we were meeting in person, you wanted to find a group so you could go network with people. I went and put all those groups on a map. Okay, so there's a Google map here. You can get directions. It'll give you all the information you want. This is a list I think everybody needs to check out, professional organizations. This list is like 17 pages long if you were to print it out. It is updated. I know recently I had a volunteer go through and check every link on here and see what groups are still here. But these are all groups that you can belong to and you can join. This is where you're going to find your next contact. If somebody on these networking groups or in these professional organizations, most of these people are working. They're having meetings throughout the evening. They're doing, or during the day, whatever. Now a lot of them are doing it via Zoom. But if you network with these people, this is how you're going to meet somebody. And this is the best chance you have to find a job, I think, because you're going to be networking with people who are working. Okay. My tip for this If you see a group that's meeting, like if you want the Alliance for Women in Media, if you want, go to the website, find out who the president is, call the president up and go, let them know that you're looking for a job in this field, and that who do you recommend I talk to in the group? Who are the movers and shakers in the group? Who are these people that I should meet? This is especially important if they're actually having, when we get back to in-person meetings, because now you can find out who should I meet at the meeting on Tuesday night. When I come to the dinner, who should I meet? So reach out. I think this professional list is really, really, really important. All right, the About Us section. Now, it's weird to put an About Us section in the middle of a website, but the reason for that is the Resource tab, the Tip of the Week, the Job Board, and the Humor section are all on CareerUSA.org. So if you were to click on one of these, it will take you to that, take you to the other website, which we're going to look at in just a second. But so this is really the about here is really the end of this website. So here's just a little about CareerDFW. Why did I start it? Why is it here? If you want to find out more about my trip to the White House, you can read my review. I've got some pictures and links to people who linked their LinkedIn profiles of people who spoke at the meeting. Our history, I've got a running blog of our history of CareerDFW. This You Said We Did. This is when people send me nice little comments. I go put them on this website because when it's 11 or 12 o'clock at night, I should be sleeping and I don't think about, and I'm up fixing something. This is those pat on the backs you send, and this really sort of helps me out, reminds me why I should be doing this. Our mission statement is here. If you like to read our goal, the goals of CareerDFW, you got it here. We've been in the news a couple times, not as often as I like. It's one of the most disappointing things I've had in the last year is that offering all the programming that CareerDFW is doing, and I'll explain a little bit more about that shortly, that I have not been able to get the news media to cover any of this stuff or to write a story about the free stuff we're giving out. So if you know anybody in the news media, we need to talk. If you've got a website, you're welcome to add buttons. I've got several different size buttons here for both websites you're welcome to use. And then down here at the bottom, there's 3 different email addresses. At the beginning, I thought I'd have some help doing this, but currently me, myself, and I, the 3 of us handle this. So pick any email address you want, and I will be, me, myself, or I will be sure to get back to you and answer any questions that you do have. All right, so let's go to the Career USA website. Looks just like the CareerDFW website, except this is sort of in red, white, and blue. The CareerDFW website is orange because I like the color orange. I had an orange Fanta last night for dinner. I will drink orange Fantas. I like orange. So when you go to a website, you get to pick whatever color you want. I did not go to the University of Oklahoma State University. I just like the color orange. And so I love that little singular orange guy. If you remember that, the little guy who stuck his hands out. That was one of my favorites. So Career USA, it's in blue, same kind of layout, same format, career tip of the week. This tip of the week actually works. I'm gonna have to figure out why this doesn't go to the other one. I'll work on that this afternoon. I just lost my job. What do I do now? I click here, a great little one-page handout. Currently 125 guests on the website. Here's the free training that, it's the same training, it's the same window as what's on CareerDFW, but if you're trying to find a link for something coming up, like our LinkedIn programming on Tuesday, you can click here and you'll be able to get to the Zoom link. So that's on here, and any of the training that CareerDFW is going to be doing with Facebook Live will all be listed on here. If you want to join the LinkedIn groups, same information. Interested in buying a copy of the book, you can go right here. You can donate. Tell you a couple options on how you can do that right there. So if we go to the group tab here, it's a little different. Here, when we go to the group tab, we're talking about groups that I have found around the United States, okay? So here are groups in the Atlanta area, a group in the Cleveland area. If you click on Dallas-Fort Worth, it'll take you to CareerDFW. Kansas City, there's 8 or 10 groups up in the Kansas City area that meet. I get an update from them every quarter with their latest information. A lot of groups up in the Minneapolis, St. Paul area. I tell you what, those Lutherans, I think they must have they have 1 or 2 networking groups in every church up there. It's just truly amazing. And then here are some other areas that are on here. If you don't see a city or your area and you know of networking groups in your area you're from, please let me know so I can add them onto the list. This Atlanta area and Cleveland, they're brand new. These are just 2 areas I just found. In fact, there's a Rochester, New York group I need to add on here that I just found out about. So I'll be updating that there. I do want to point out over here on the right-hand side, on all pages except for the first front page, if you want to go to the LinkedIn page, this will take you right to LinkedIn. This will take you to the LinkedIn page of CareerUSA.org. If you're on the CareerDFW site, the LinkedIn button will take you to the LinkedIn page for Career DFW. If you want to go to our Facebook page, you can do that. Please follow us on Facebook. Every time we go live, your phone will give you a little buzz. You'll know we're currently live. Our Twitter feed, I don't think is working right now. I do put stuff on Instagram. If you want to follow us on Instagram, you'll find out about upcoming programming. This will take you to our YouTube channel. This very last one will take you to the YouTube channel so you can see any programming. And I'll show you a picture of that here after the break. If you'd like to donate to CareerDFW, you can click via here for PayPal or over here to get the mailing address if you'd like to mail a check. So that's the group tab. The resource tab. The resource tab, this is really the bulk of the website. I have hundreds and hundreds of files here, well over 700-800 files here right now on different things about your job search. So think about back in 2008, Google was just sort of starting. And so we pulled all the really good files from all the Yahoo groups that I was part of to try to make a good library of things in one place that you could do. So you just got laid off. What do? Click up here. It says career files. It'll take you to, these are some of the information that's on here. Websites. We have a lot of different websites here that have been broken down. This is currently being updated or going through all the links and verifying that all these links are working. If you run across a link that doesn't work, please let me know so I can go and update it. Send me either a screenshot of the page or make sure you let me know what page it's on. Copy the link address at the very top. So just don't tell me that the link to ABC is broken, because I've got well over 1,000 pages on the site. It'll take me a long time to find ABC. So that's there. If you happen to be a veteran, I've got several resources here for veterans and spouses of veterans that are specific for you, and that's all listed on here. So there's tons and tons of things on here of things that would be very helpful for you. The career tip of the week. This is also known as Jeff's pet peeve sometimes, because back when we were meeting in person, I remember we had a person come one Friday morning. He said, Jeff, I had a great interview on Wednesday and they asked for my references. Do you think I should let my references know they may be contacted? After beating my head against the wall a couple times, I turned to him. I said, yes, that would be a very good idea because it could really help sell you into the job. So that afternoon, I went home and wrote a blog, and that became one of the tips of the week. Most of these tips that I get are not written by me. These are just emails that I get or services that I'm part of. So this week is the 6 biggest mistakes that job seekers make on cover letters. Very interesting. Half the people don't use cover letters anyway, but just some interesting things you can do. Over here on the very right-hand side, these are my favorite career tips that I just, if you're going to get started and want to just sort of glance through some of my biggie ones, these are the ones I think people need to think about, things you need to do. All the O tips, and I see here I got to go fix this. 2021 should be at the very top. I will fix that this afternoon also. But you can go back and read all the tips going way back. All these tips, these are all 3 to 5 minute reads. They're not very long. They're a little bit like those V8 moments. For those who remember the commercial on V8, like, wow, I could have been, how simple. I should have been doing that in my job search weeks ago. Why didn't I think of doing something so simple like that? So, check those out. It is, I don't know, they're great little bits of wisdom that, you can pick out. So it's every Saturday at 1 o'clock, a new tip of the week shows up, and it's there for 1 week. And then the other tips, they fall back under the window, under the category, so you can go back and read the old tips. The job board. This is the only place you're going to see a log in, log out screen. As you've seen, you don't have to log in to use anything on the website. I wanted my website to be very open, plain. I don't want to collect any personal information. I don't want to be responsible for your personal information. My websites have been hacked twice. Once it took me 2 weeks over the Christmas to get it unhacked. So my website's really locked down. Posting your resume, or posting a thing, that's what LinkedIn's for. I don't need to gather that information. Nobody's going to search my website to find your contact information. So this is the only place to log in. You are welcome to create a login and log in. If you have a job posting you'd like to post, you're welcome to do that to help people. That'd be fine. One of the requirements of my job board is that job postings only stay there for 21 days and they automatically go away. So after 21 days, automatically the computer wipes them out and they're gone. Okay. I will tell you this, I don't like this job board. I was forced to go to it when my computer the basic program did a computer update for safety and the old program was not being updated. I am looking for a new one. I've been looking for a new one for a while, but I need somebody with some technical computer skills to help me do it. And or if I'm going to pay a company to do it, they want like $8,000 and I don't have $8,000 to give them to go do that. But here are the most current jobs that are on here right now. So the most current one, and obviously I've been found by somebody outside the DFW area because people are posting jobs all over North Carolina, Arizona, Missouri. You can see on here. So this is the 30th job it's on here. Currently, there's 731 jobs that are on here. It stays about 600 to 700 jobs, just depending on, the 30-day rollover. So there's jobs all through here. The best way to search, do not use the search box. The mapping feature doesn't work on the site anymore. But the easiest way to use this is to click here on filter by category. And then what you can do is there's one accounting finance job. Here is one engineering job. 61, there's a lot of entry-level jobs that are being posted on here. Here is 17 management executive jobs. So that's an interesting category. I've never seen that number that high. 4 in manufacturing, 11 real estate jobs. So you can go through here. That's the easiest way to click on that and you'll just see those jobs and then you can reply and put the information on there. So that's the job board. The humor section. If you ever get to work for me, I always send out something called the Friday Funny. I just think it's sort of, you need to have funny. I send out a nice little funny joke every Friday. But when we were rebuilding the websites, I asked them, I said, can you give me a pair of eyeballs that go back and forth? Because Monday through Friday between 8 and 5, you should be out looking for a job. You should not be on this page, okay? I also wanted a big nose and fuzzy eyebrows like Groucho Marx, but we didn't run out of time to do that. So if you know how to do that, please contact me and we'll edit the website. But all that information is on here. I've got jokes, cartoons, videos. I always like to share my favorite, let's see here, my favorite cartoon, if I can find it. So I always think this, if you're in job search, I always think this is a pretty funny one. The one up here at this one right here is pretty good here. Part of your severance package, you're allowed up to 3 whacks at the blow up doll of our company CEO. For those of you who've been laid off, I'm sure you'd like to do that to your CEO. So just sort of fun things. So that's the humor section. If you need to, because you need to pick me up, go do it. But during the day, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, please concentrate on your job search, okay? Don't waste that valuable time being able to network with people. The About Us section is just like the CareerDFW website. In fact, a lot of the links go right back to CareerDFW, so there's really no reason to show you the exact same things that are on here. The same links, if you were to click on any of these, it'll just take you back to careerusa.org. So that's the website. Any questions? Polly, I'm glad you liked the IKEA comment. Any questions before we take a little bit of a break about the websites?
In regards to your website where you're talking about needing help, what specific type of person and skills are you looking for? I know somebody that does websites on the side and might be able to help if I know what skills specifically.
Well, the program I'm using, it's called a content management system, and I'm using a program called Joomla, Joomla. The other program for the other program that I like to build the job board in is called Fabrik, F-A-B-R-I-K. But once again, it's sort of Joomla based. So as long as I don't know, I think anybody who's got really good computer skills would be able to do it. I'm not a fan of WordPress because WordPress is the most hacked website ever. So that's why I've been using Joomla ever since. And quite frankly, WordPress really didn't exist back in 2008 when I started the website. All right, let me share. Let me do a different screen share here. Oh, I guess I am on the right screen. All right, so let's see here. Let me go back. So just want to remind people a couple things. One, we don't collect any personal information from the user. So, you know, your information is protected. There's no cost to use either of the websites. I just want to be able to go out and give people this information. All right. So when we come back after break, we're going to talk about 3 areas to focus on in your job search. And we'll go into some details. So right now, let's see if I go to the right screen here. Let's take a 10-minute break. And when we come back, we will get started right about the top of the hour.
Yeah, feel free to discuss among yourselves during break if you'd like.
All right, so what I want to spend the rest of this time on today is talking about 3 areas that I think you should focus on in your job search. And I sort of came up with this when COVID started. Resumes, LinkedIn, and interviewing. I think that these are 3 really important areas. Number 1, you got to have a decent resume because how are people going to find you? Number 2, once your resume is done, then you can really populate your LinkedIn profile with lots of keywords and other information. So once again, recruiters can find you. And then the third part is, once you've done on that, you've got to practice interviewing. And that's the one field I think that people spend the least amount of time on. People will spend hours and hours on their resume, but they won't spend any time on interviewing. So because of those 3 topics, this is the reason that I came up with, let's do a training program. You know, right when COVID started, all the networking groups sort of stopped meeting because they didn't know how to meet because they didn't know how to use Zoom. So I came up with, well, every Tuesday, let's do, I looked on the CareerDFW calendar and 1 o'clock seemed to be wide open. So that's why I picked Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday to have the 3 important areas: LinkedIn, interviewing, and resume, effective resumes. And then Friday, the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group we haven't skipped a week even because of COVID. So every Tuesday we do a LinkedIn training. We have 4 different speakers who talk about LinkedIn. They all do different topics. They talk about different parts of LinkedIn. So it's really fascinating. The interviewing process, the interviewing workshops on Wednesday at 1 o'clock. It's a 13-part session. It's led by Walt Glass and Mark McDonald from the practice interview team. It's they put together 13 lessons. Who knew that it could be, 15, 16 hours of programming on how to do an interview the right way. But we'll talk about that. Every Thursday, we talk about effective resumes. And then Friday at my North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group, it's been meeting since the late 1990s. We bring in different speakers every Friday. So, please join us. All of our programming is on the CareerDFW Facebook page live. So if you don't want to watch it via Zoom, and if you want to watch it via Zoom, all those links are on the front page of CareerDFW, as I pointed out before. So let's talk about resumes. One of the things I find with people, especially when they've just lost their job and if they've never done this before, is they sort of go into paralysis and they spend hours and hours modifying a resume, and they show it to 10 different people and they get 15 different responses. And then you take it back after you've made all the changes and you take it back to one of those 10 people, and then they want you to change it again. So here are just some tips and some things that I think that maybe, things to think about on your resume. Number one, do you have a master resume? I think everybody should have a master resume with everything you've ever done since you graduated high school, and include high school jobs if they were co-ops or if they're relevant to what you do nowadays. You include dates, addresses, supervisors' names, 10 or 15 bullet points underneath everything you've done, and your resume can be 10 pages long, whatever it is. But when you find a job applicant, when you see a job posting, you take that master resume and cut out everything that's not relevant. Save as, so you save the document as whatever you're going to call the customized resume, and you customize it to the job description. I'm sure everybody here has done a lot of really great things, but if they don't ask for it on the job description, make it easy for the recruiter to go, oh yeah, this is a good fit. I'm going to call this person because they match what we're looking for. Remember, your resume is just a hook. It is just an opportunity for you to get that phone call or for you to get that email from them. You want to make it as easy as you can for the recruiter or for somebody looking at it. You want to make sure you customize every resume you send out, and please keep to the details of the job description. If they don't ask about it, don't tell them about it. When you get into the interview, you may have some good star stories that you can talk about, but make it easy for the recruiter. You want to make sure you use that your bullet points have dollars, percent, or numbers. You need to be able to quantify what it is you do. You don't want to blindly send out a resume. Don't just, you find a contact. Here's my resume. Here's my resume. Because you don't know what they're looking for. There's a person who I've known for a long time, and she used to tell me that, when people would call her up, well, send me your resume. Well, I don't really know what the job is. Tell me what you're looking for, and then I can send you a resume that talks to the items that you are looking for. Do not post your resume on LinkedIn. Once again, because you're posting a generic 2-page, 3-page resume. You don't want to post your 10-page resume because it's got all the extra details in it that are unimportant. But what you may want to do on LinkedIn is consider posting a 1-page bio. If you don't have a bio, I think it's an extremely effective tool. I think more and more people, it used to be, this is all executives used to use. Now I think that everybody should be using a bio because it tells somebody what it is you do at a high level. It doesn't go into any details. There's a great book out by Minna Brown called Minna Brown and Paul Asanoff wrote the book called Be Sharp. If you get it, be sure to buy the 2nd edition. If you happen to have Amazon Prime, you can get the Kindle version for free. Is my understanding it was free on Kindle last time we looked. So Be Sharp, 2nd edition from Minna Brown. And then in the back of the book, and the book consists of 2 parts. The first part of the book is all about your 30-second introduction, how to introduce yourself. The second half of the book is all about the executive bio, about a bio in general. And it's got like 30 or 40 different examples in it. It's an excellent tool, so I highly recommend it. I think this is one of the big books that you really should have. Okay, when dealing with an ATS system, which is the applicant tracking system, so you're putting something out there you're uploading an online resume. Number one, do not use any special characters and special formatting. No tables, no extra lines, no header section like you would in Microsoft Word. For, you don't have to have your name at the top of the second page and to say page 2. You just need a resume that's very, very clean. Sometimes what some people will do is if you do it in Microsoft Word or whatever the Apple version is, save your resume as a text file, .txt, because what that will do is that will strip out all the special formatting, left justified everything. That's what make it easy for the ATS system to read it. I've even heard that if you have your LinkedIn profile address on your resume up in the header, make sure it's not a hyperlink, because sometimes ATS systems will not read that correctly. Please make sure your keywords align to the job description. This is very, very important, because once again, you want the job description to find you. So please just make sure that whatever they're asking for in the job description, that you have those words in your resume. Focus on results and accomplishments. This is something we do in our Thursday resume class. We play the so what game. So for every bullet point you have on your resume, ask, so what? Do you show a result? Do you show an accomplishment? That's going to sell. I see so many resumes every day that are just like a job description. It tells me what you did, but it doesn't tell me what you accomplished. It doesn't tell me the results from I did this and I accomplished this. So play a so what game and modify your resume. Utilize action verbs to start every bullet point. So find a really good action verb to start it out, because I've heard that a lot of recruiters sometimes maybe only read the first 3 to 5 words of a bullet point, and if they're not interested, they keep on going. So by adding a strong action word would help your bullet point. Keep it simple. The job of the resume is to whet the appetite, not to provide the recipe. So you want to make sure that you're telling them you just want to get that phone call. You want to get that phone call out there. See, Polly's saying here, sometimes format, upload, request of resumes do not include text files where a PDF work too. Yes, a PDF will work. A Word document will work also. But what I say is when I'm talking about making your resume a TXT file, what that will do is that will strip out all the special formatting. Then you can save it again back as a Word document, and all the special formatting will be gone. It'll make your resume look really weird. You'll need to sort of clean everything back up again, but it will strip out all this. Word adds a lot of special characters that you never see. So if you want to get rid of all those things, that's why I use TXT files all the time. Okay, with your resume, if you want to network into a company, referrals have a 50% shot of getting an interview. Where if you only fill out an application online, you have a 2 to 3% chance of getting that phone call. So if you can find somebody inside the company, it'll make all the difference. I remember once I applied for a job, I saw this job posting. It was like, man, this is me. This is exactly who I am. I went online, I filled out the online application, and then I immediately looked, because I knew the website name, I knew the name of the company. I immediately then went to my LinkedIn profile and I looked, do I know anybody who knows anybody at this company? Well, it just so happens that somebody from my Friday group did know somebody at that company. I contacted him. He said, oh yeah, I know a sales guy who works there. I'll send him an email and I'll let you know. Well, that night by 6 o'clock, I had an email back from this sales guy. He said, sure, send me your resume. I'll hand deliver it Tuesday morning, the next day, to HR. The next morning about 9 o'clock, I get an email from the guy, just dropped off your resume. A half hour later, 9:30 in the morning, HR is on the phone with me and we're having a discussion. So just by the fact, if you can get somebody to hand deliver your resume, it makes all the difference. Okay, so here are some common resume mistakes that everybody makes. Spelling and grammatical errors. You will automatically, 99% of the time by every recruiter, just be kicked out. Think about it. If a recruiter has they don't have these anymore, but if you had a pile of 100 resumes on your desk when you used to print everything out, what do? You're just looking to try to find something of interest. But as soon as you can find something that's wrong, boom, they're in the reject pile. Reject. They're looking to reject you and just come up with a few good candidates. So you've got to make sure that your spelling is correct, no grammatical errors. Please use a professional email address. No hot mama or crazy cat lady at Gmail. I mean, you want to be Jeff Morris PMP at gmail.com if you need to, or if you need to add a dot, Jeff Morris _ TX at gmail.com. Do something that makes your email profile look professional and tells people who you are. Think about this. What if you had an Aggie email address and somebody from, A&M or Oklahoma State was looking at yours and go, well, I'm not going to hire somebody from Oklahoma. I want to hire somebody who went to UT or whatever. So just, be aware that your email address makes a difference. Think about it. If you're applying for a job at Verizon and you submit your resume with an AT&T address, do you think that's a good idea? Probably not. Okay. By failing, and I've talked about this already, failure to demonstrate and quantify results. That's the so what game. You've got to tell people what it is, what kind of results that you can provide them, because the results sell. Too many buzzwords, overused phrases. There's a whole list of those out there nowadays. You can Google it and find out what those are. You've got to make sure your resume is just really tuned up. If your format or design is too elaborate, sometimes, if you're not in the creative realm, my daughter happens to be a UX user interface designer. So of course her resume has color and little squares and designs and stuff on it. But for most people, they don't want to see that. In fact, of course, she didn't listen to her dad when she was unemployed last year. But when she had gotten some training from Right Management said, you need to have a left justified plain resume without all this fun stuff in it. The fun stuff you can put on your website, but keep your resume plain and simple. A couple more mistakes. Too much text. Underneath your companies, you should have maybe 3 to 5 bullet points. You don't need to have 8 or 10 because nobody's going to read that many things. All your bullet points should maybe be 1, 2 lines maximum. Make sure your tense are correct. If you currently are working, then your text could be current. But all your past jobs need to be in past tense. So, you recruited. You're not recruiting. I'm not, responsible for recruiting new employees. Well, you're not recruiting. Responsible for, make sure everything's in past tense. You do not need to list references available upon request. That's about 20 or 30 years old. So don't do that. You don't have to put that on a job application. If they want it, they will ask. You want to make sure you customize your resume to match the job description. We've talked about that. And please include your LinkedIn address. Very important, because your LinkedIn profile is going to have a lot more details than your resume. And if they want to, check things out, it's a great way to do that. Now, make sure that your LinkedIn profile and your resume match, because if one tells one story and one tells a different story, they're going to reject you. All right, so here's a resume and a job description. Let me turn on annotation here. And so here are just some basic things that, you need to think about when you're looking at a job description. So if somebody's looking for, they have here in the job description, they're looking for agile, do that. If they're looking for, you don't need to list that they're looking for Microsoft Office unless it's on their actual job description. If you're talking about process flow charts, make sure that that shows up here on your profile. Another, I think, very, very important thing is if you have bullet points, no more than 9, don't put little bullets in front of it. Just list the 9 things, use it just common tabs. And if I ever interview you, let me do this. If I ever interview you, I'm going to ask you, well, what are your, you have 9 different areas of expertise. What are your top 3 areas of expertise? They better be these 3 or those 3. Because if they're one of these down here and you mention a couple of these, I'm going, well, then why are you telling me these other things are your, your best things? So make sure that these 3 are, across the top or down the left are the 3 most important things that are over here on your profile. And try to match up the words. Keywords are very, very important. Turn this off. Okay, so let's talk about LinkedIn. Number 1, you want to have a profile that's fully developed and current and up to date. Now, LinkedIn helps you with that because when you go and you edit your profile, it'll say, well, do you want to do this? Do you have this to add? It'll take you through every step by step and have you and ask you things. Spend time and do that. Does your profile tell a company how you can help them? Remember, companies are hiring you because they have a problem. They need help in accounting. They're having a process problem in manufacturing. They need this, they need that. They have a problem. They're hiring you to solve problems. How does your profile tell them that? You want to make sure that you're an all-star. Now, our all-star status is a little hard to see. You can only find it if you view your profile nowadays. But you do want to be an all-star. Very, very important. And you want to make sure that can somebody reach out to you easily. I look at LinkedIn profiles all the time. No phone number, no email address. If you're looking for work, why are you on LinkedIn if you're not going to make it easy for somebody? You've got to have your phone and email account, your email address, and your contact information, and in your about section. Now, for those people who don't want to put a phone number on there, and I understand a lot of women don't want to because they feel like they could be harassed, get a Google Voice number. You can Google how to get a Google Voice number. They're free. Put your Google Voice number on LinkedIn, and then that way, when they don't have your direct number, and that number then rolls over to your cell phone. So, but put your contact information in there. Make it easy for somebody to find you. So here's my LinkedIn profile. Look how easy it is for somebody to contact me or email me. They don't even have to look at my contact information. They don't have to look at my about section. I put it up in my banner so that anybody on Google who if you don't have a LinkedIn account, but they happen to find a page doing a Google search for Jeff Morse, boom, up I would pop, and there's my phone number and email address in the upper corner. I think I've updated my picture, so I guess I need to redo this slide. All right, make sure you customize your URL link. Okay, on your profile page, you can click on Edit Public Profile and edit the URL in the upper right-hand corner. Because right now your default one will be, Jeff_Morris 6947257 and Q right, left, who knows, whatever else they put on there. Modify it. If you can delete all the numbers and just have your name, that's great. I actually saw something very interesting the other day. Somebody went and put their phone number. They had their first name, last name, and then their phone number was their URL customized link. And I thought, oh, that's sort of interesting. I don't know. I thought that was pretty fascinating. Number 2, be sure to add a professional email and be sure to add your closest large city state. So if you live in Prosper or if you lived in Bedford, people may not know where Bedford's at. But if you tell them DFW area, by doing that, it's going to expand how people will be able to search for you. Be sure you have a focus statement on, your job title. Okay, you want to make sure that people know, your job title. If you don't change that job title, it will take your last job that you've got posted on there. So make sure you post things on here. That you're a Java front-end developer. Tell people who it is what you're doing. You now have 220 characters. So, you don't need to use all 220 characters, but at least tell people who it is, what you do, and make sure that your job titles that you post is what you'd find on a job description. Okay, so make sure it's in the correct tense or the correct verbiage to show that. Constantine says, be careful when changing a LinkedIn URL. If you had apps out there with your old URL and someone tries to use it, it won't work. That's very true. So I guess this is primarily for those people that are brand new in LinkedIn. If you haven't printed on your business card, or you haven't put on your resume yet, you want to make sure you modify that. Another tip that I've also heard is that you may want to, on your title, add a action verb at the beginning of it. Experienced Java front-end engineer, or multi-talented marketing brand manager. Add some kind of action word to maybe draw somebody in. Always send a personal note with LinkedIn. Foster will be glad to connect with you. Clayton will be glad to connect with you, but send a personal note. I get these all the time, these generic, hi Jeff, I'd like to join your LinkedIn network. Guess what? I don't accept any of these. Okay, so if you sent these, I won't be connecting with you. I want that personal note. Even if you're on a cell phone, you can send a personal note. Now this is on an Apple phone here, and I think the more has now been changed to a little hamburger or 3 little dots. But if you click on the more or the whatever, you'll be able to get to personalized invite. So regardless, always send that personalized invite. The only way to guarantee that you're going to be able to do that, not on a phone, but if you're on a PC or Mac, is be looking at the person's profile. If you just, sometimes you'll see a page that has, here are people you may want to connect with, and there's all these little pages and little dots. If you do that, it'll send a generic invitation and it's too late. So click on the person's picture, which will open their profile. Then when you hit connect, you have an option to send that personal note. Okay, so number one, you want to make sure you complete your profile to all-star status. You have to have a current position, a location, an industry, a summary, and at least 5 skills, education, and a photo. Oh, wait, I don't want my photo on there because people will know that I'm old. You know what? Every one of us has probably been someplace and gone, ooh, that person's cute, and made a personal decision to date somebody or whatever, just the way they look. They've reached out to somebody. If somebody doesn't want you because of the way you look, better to do that now than to get on a Zoom call or go in person for an interview and then they go, I don't really want you anymore. Current position. You're unemployed. You don't have a current position right now. So what do you put down? Here's what I recommend. You list a job title or titles that you're interested in the current job. Then you list, for the company, list your phone number. And then underneath that, list 3 or 4 bullet points with your key accomplishments to tell somebody why, what you can do. So that gets you a current job. And then when you get a job, you just delete that off the profile. And then you log your next job in. If you can get a professional headshot photo, you want something that looks decent. You don't want something like a group shot and you can see that they've cut people off. You just need, upper part of the shoulders and head. I mean, keep it nice and clean. Keep it easy. You want a simple, plain background. You don't want something that's very cluttered in the background, or people will be looking in the background, just like a Zoom call. You want your background on a Zoom call to be sort of clean, because I know this, that when I see somebody's background, I am constantly looking in the back to see, well, what else do they have on their bookshelves? What else is in their back? What else is on their shelf right now? Kelly asked, if you're laid off, should you put the end date when you were laid off or leave it blank? I think you should put the end date when you were laid off. You know, you're not working there anymore. Be honest, be upfront. And if it's in the last 30 days, that's okay. But if it's longer, I would, if it's any longer, you know, more than a month, I would go ahead and put down that you're no longer working there. Be sure you have a good headline. You know, be sure the job titles you're applying for is there. I think it's very, very important. You want to make sure that you've got in the settings open to job opportunities. Now, if you're still working, you may only want to go to recruiters, but if you're looking for a job, you know, there's been a huge discussion when they started that big green banner that goes around your face. You know, do you really want that? It doesn't make you look desperate, because you're not the only person out there looking for a job. There's several million people out there looking for a job. But this is what it does for you. If a recruiter is using the recruiting package, they will automatically be able to see that you're open to new opportunities. But what if you're connecting with a friend, or a friend happens to see your profile and go, oh, I didn't know Steve's out looking for a job. Or I didn't know, you know, Steve's looking for work right now. Let me reach out to him. I know when we worked together, it was great. So please, you know, I say use it. I think it's worth doing. I think it's worth having on there, because I talked to a recruiting firm about a month ago, and they have 30 different recruiters who work there. I asked, how many people pay for the recruiting package? Oh, no one here pays for that. We just use LinkedIn generically to look for people. So if you don't have that open to work on there, they're never going to know. Be sure you're using keywords. Okay, on LinkedIn, you need to have keywords 3 to 5 times. So once in a job description, one job, once in a second job, maybe have it once or twice up in your summary or your about section. Very, very, very important. You've got to use those keywords, because that's what's going to get you found. I would also recommend go Google or do a LinkedIn search for the job title you're looking for and see who comes up first, second, third. Look at their profiles. What are they talking about? Have you done what they've done? Oh, well, maybe I need to add those words so that I show up higher in the rankings. In your experience section, if you have an unusual job title, people person or human resource person in charge of people or something, some odd job title that you're not really sure about, put in the official job title, but put in that job title, but then in parentheses, use what would be the common job title. You know, like if you're a customer relationship specialist, you could also put in parentheses customer service rep, because that's going to get you a better chance of being found. Okay, and be sure to use keywords from your profession. We've sort of talked about that already. List education, awards, certificates, professional development. There's sections that you can list all those things on there. If you do not have a degree, do not list that you have a bachelor's or whatever, an associate's from a university. You can list the college name and put on there that, you know, completed 90 hours. Okay, but don't say you have something you don't have. Skills. You've got to have at least 5 skills. So to do that, go to the skills section and start selecting skills. You should try to list, 40, 45 skills. You can select up to 50. Pick your top 3. Your top 3 need to go first, but have all, go through and select the things that you're good at. Now, if you're a manager, don't select manager, because that's really sort of ridiculous. You don't need to select Microsoft Word or Microsoft Excel, because most people do need to know that. Now, if you're in accounting, you probably want to list Microsoft Excel, because that's something you'll be using all the time. But pick things that you want to use and use the generic on LinkedIn. And this is a common rule all the time in LinkedIn. Always use the default values. When you start typing something in, use something there. Don't create a new item because it's not going to get found. It's not going to be searched as well because LinkedIn has already come up with all the default values. Use what's there. You need to have recommendations from coworkers, from former bosses, whatever. You need a couple recommendations. I say you should have 2 recommendations from in the last 6 months. You want something that is sort of current. I would, how do you get a recommendation from a boss or a former coworker? Write it yourself and send them an email and go, I'd like for you to recommend, we worked together. These were things I did, or this is what you told me on my last review, when you wrote my last review, would you put these things in LinkedIn? And write the thing for him. So all the person has to do is just copy and paste it into LinkedIn. Also, at the bottom of it, put a couple instructions on how to write a recommendation. The steps they had to do: log into LinkedIn, find my profile, go scroll down to you see recommendations, click on share, write recommendation. Put down the steps so people can, make it easy for them to do it. If you make it easy, you're going to get them. If you don't do it, if you don't write them, you're not going to get any recommendations. All right, a couple privacy settings that you need to turn on and off. Number 1, turn off viewers of this profile also viewed. I'm sure you've seen people's profile on LinkedIn, and over on the, this side of the screen, over on the right-hand side of the screen, there's 10 more people who do exactly what you do, or exactly what this person does you search for. Why do you want to promote other people who do what you do? As a recruiter, I'm going to go, well, this person really, let me look at this person because this person popped up, and let me look at this person, and it gets you more ways. Make sure you turn that off. You don't want people to view other people like you. Number two, turn on, let recruiters know you're open to new opportunities. Very, very important. That's how you're going to be found. Be sure to follow any company that you're interested in or that you've applied to. Recruiters, and if you want to join our LinkedIn tomorrow at 1 o'clock, our presentation is going to be by Kurt Vondermatter. He's an executive recruiter. He pays $15,000, $20,000 a year to LinkedIn for the full-blown recruiting package. And you'll see, he'll show it to us tomorrow when he searches for somebody. It shows him, when you're searching for somebody, that this person is following my company. So that if you were applying at IBM, it would say that, well, I have 600 people meet your qualifications, but 40 of them follow IBM. Well, I'm going to check those 40 out because they maybe already sort of know what's going on. So be sure to follow any company you're interested or have applied to. You get higher in the ratings, you need to post, share, and like. Okay. So what earns you the most points? A post. If you post something, you should post something once a week. It can be a blog. It could be something you've written about. It could be something that you saw another article on the New York Times or in the Dallas Morning News or whatever. You want to share an article, share something. You want to post something once a week, and that'd be a link to an outside article of some sort. The next thing that earns you a little bit less points is when you share something with a comment. So I post something about CareerDFW upcoming programming every day. So if you're able to share that with other people and you put a comment, oh, I really enjoyed when I watched this last week, or today's speaker is really good, that gets you some more points. Or when you comment on anybody's thing. The next one is a little bit less if you just hit the share button and you don't make any comment, gets you less things in there, how they keep track and how they move you up in their ratings. And the very least is when you just click on like. If you just like something, get you the least number of points. But you should still go ahead and do that. If there's no way to share something, at least like something. So every day you should like something, you should share something, and then post something once a week. It will help move you up in the ratings when LinkedIn presents people when they do searches. Another thing that LinkedIn does is it keeps track of if you reply or not. And I didn't know this until I saw the recruiting pack, the back end of the recruiting package. And I saw that one of the options that a recruiter can use is, okay, there's 760 people on LinkedIn right now. How many people are active? It took you down to 260 million people. How many people actually reply? Oh, I took it down to 40 million people. So as a recruiter, who do I want to search for? I want to search for somebody who's going to reply to something, because if I'm looking to hire somebody, I want to make sure if I reach out to you via InMail that you're going to reply. So every time you get a request, if you have an opportunity to send back a note, glad to connect, or not interested in your product, or whatever it is, just reply, because it will help move you up in the LinkedIn ratings. Skip those couple questions. All right, the third section I want to talk about is interviewing. We do our interview workshop every Thursday at 3 o'clock. I mean at 1 o'clock, sorry, Thursday at 1. So number one, being prepared for an interview. So one of the things, and I mentioned this earlier, that people spend a lot of time on their resume. They spend a lot of time on LinkedIn, but how much time have you practiced interviewing? Very, very, very important. Every bullet point on your resume needs to have a story. You need to write them down. You need to put them on an index card. Now, if you want, I just was watching an old episode of This Is Us from a couple of nights ago, and they were Randall has colored index cards that he'd write everything on index cards, and that's how he was studying for his test. And Kevin, he showed Kevin how to do that to help him learn football plays. So I think it's really, real important that, by writing stuff down on an index card or on a pad of paper, it helps put the story into your head, okay? If you want to type them all up, that's fine. But the nice thing about index cards is if you have a bunch of, you can only practice the index cards you need for that particular job, okay? But whatever it is, every bullet point needs to have a story. Every story, you need to write it down, because when you write it down, it helps burn that image into your brain. There's a STAR method. I like to use the RAW method: result, action, and why. Tell me the result up front. Tell me the action, why you did it, and why you had to do it. And sometimes maybe tell the result again at the end. I saved $6 million. The actions that I took was to do X, Y, and Z. We know we had to do it because we were about to lose a customer. So I saved, by doing this, we were able to save the customer and $6 million. The most important thing, another very important fact, is you've got to keep your answers to 60 to 90 seconds. The shorter, the better. And the reason being is if you have a half-hour interview and you tell 3 and 4 minute stories, what you've done, you may only tell 4 or 5 stories, and the interviewer will not be able to, find out everything about you. So by keeping your answers short, that always works out better. And you can always say, would you like to know more at the end of that Be prepared for these interview questions. Why do you want to work here? There's a speaker that I have, and she said, I ask every, she's a recruiter, and she said, I ask that to every candidate. And if the candidate can't tell me why they want to work here, they don't advance. How much did you make at your last job? That salary question always comes up. You need to be prepared for that. And what you made at your last job really isn't necessarily important what your current job is. So you've got to come up with some decent answers. So a couple of them, a couple that I like to use are, well, according to the Bureau of Labor and Statistics, this job title in this market the range is somewhere between the low 70s and the upper 90s. I'm sure that whatever this company pays will be fair and equitable. How can anybody argue about that? Okay. If they've got to know for sure, you know, Polly says the salary question is not legal to ask in many states. And that's true. A lot of states have stopped people from asking about that. If you want to have more fun with the, what you make your last job, or, you know, how much do you want to make or whatever, you could say something like this, and this comes from Steve Zipkoff. Well, my manufactured suggested retail price is $125,000. Now I can't work for free and nobody pays full price. I'm sure that whatever we can come up with will be fair and equitable. So if you want to make it sort of funny, some way you can do that. But you've got to have an idea. You've got to know. You've got to be prepared. Just don't walk in because a lot of recruiters will ask it up front because they want to know, you know, we're wasting our time. I've heard of people who they're on their third or fourth interview and money has never come up. Well, you know, the money could be, you know, 50% of what you're expecting, and, you know, you've wasted all this time. So just be very, very careful. The next question is, why did you leave your last job? Be prepared. Now, a lot of people have been laid off because of COVID. Not a big deal. It's not a big hassle anymore. But, you know, if you got fired for taking pencils out of the break room, you know, you need to come up with a good answer. If you need some help with that, I recommend you contact Mark McDonald at the practice interview team, and that's the one thing that he works on to help people with how to answer a tough, sticky question. So if you had a questionable, if you lost your job questionably, reach out to Mark McDonald. David said, should you include compensation package, i.e. many weeks of vacation? Well, that's always true. I mean, I think usually when people talk about salary, they're going to, you know, here's what my salary is. They don't talk about the benefits. And you're right. Perks and benefits make a huge difference. I had a gentleman in my Friday group many years ago come up with a spreadsheet of 40 different items that he considered when taking a job, because the pay wasn't up to what he was expecting. But it was a smaller company. They couldn't quite offer it as much. They couldn't quite offer as many things. So just be aware that, you know, yes, an extra week of vacation. Maybe you only have to go in the office 4 days a week. You get 1 day you don't have to work in the office. You know, there's lots of other options you can take as far as how to deal with a salary question. But for the most part, when they ask you what your salary is or what you want to make, it's going to be a sort of a base, you know, a base salary or base plus commission if you're in sales. When you're interviewing, I think, I believe in this 10+1. You've got to have 10 questions ready to ask. You've got to be prepared to ask people questions and get back in. You just don't want the interview to be one-sided. If you have those listed out on a piece of paper and you're ready to ask them, it makes it much more beneficial. The +1 question is to ask for a job. The goal is to try to get 5 of those questions asked during the interview. Now, some interviewers will go and say, I need you to hold your questions to the end because I need to get through these questions. If that's the case, that's great. But I know that as an interviewer, when somebody comes in and says, you know, I've prepared a few questions, can I ask you this? I'm impressed because that means they've thought about what it is they're doing. If you're doing a video interview, which I guess everybody's doing nowadays, Skype, Google Hangout, FaceTime, Zoom, you've got to think about the camera angle, the sound, the headset background. I mean, all these other things that are going on. Practice now, do not wait. Everybody can have a free Zoom account. Practice with, you know, somebody else in this group on how to do it. It just so happens that this Wednesday at 1 o'clock, our session number 4 for interviewing Wednesdays is all about video interviewing. So join us this Wednesday at 1 o'clock for video interviewing. When you're interviewing, be sure to find out, when you're sort of wrapping up, be sure to find out what the next step's going to be. Just don't say, well, thank you, I look forward to hearing from you, because they probably won't. You want to find out what is the next step. You want to maybe suggest a follow-up call. If I don't hear from you by Thursday, is it okay if I call you, Friday morning at 9 o'clock? Set something up. And if you say you're going to call them at that time, you call them at that time. Be sure to express even greater interest in the position. So you had an opening statement. I'm really excited about being here. I know you're looking for somebody who can do this, this, and this. You mentioned that you need somebody who can do X, Y, and Z. I have those skills. I'm here. I'm really excited about being able to help you meet your mission. And if you think you're comfortable, be asked to be advanced to the next step, or even ask for the job. I remember there was a candidate once at the pit crew, and he said in an interview, and he actually got the job. He said, as I was walking in, he said, I saw this empty desk. And so during the interview, I thought it went really, really well. And so at the end of the interview, I said, well, I saw that empty desk out there. Would that be my desk? I can start Monday. And they did hire him. It's pretty amazing. So here are a couple common interviewing mistakes that we find. Number one, speaking too much or too little. Okay. Spending too much time on the situation part of a star story or the action that you took will just, you talk too much. I mean, that's why you got to really focus in on your stories and practice your stories. People wander off in the weeds. You tell way too many things. If the interviewer doesn't say anything, you're just waiting for the next, you feel like you have to keep talking. So if you tell your star story or your raw story, you can also, and there's a little bit of silence, you can all say, well, did I answer your question? Or would you like to know more? Be very, very careful about talking in generalities. You want to be specific, mention metrics, put it in context for the interviewer. Okay, you want to be as specific as you can. Be careful about mishandling a negative-oriented question. Okay. Forgetting to take credit and explaining your personal contribution. You want to make sure you use I or my instead of we. If you talked about, well, the actions we took, we had to do this, we did this. They're not hiring we, they're hiring you. So if you don't like saying, well, I did this and I did this, you can say my role was. So it explains to people what it was you did. You never, ever want to speak negatively about a previous job, coworker, or boss. So tell me, what was your least favorite thing you liked working with your last boss? Be careful, they're setting you up there. Because if you talk bad about them, they know that if they hire you, you're going to talk bad about this company. So be very, very careful about that. Keep it positive. Focusing too much attention on a single interviewer. If you're in a panel interview, you want to make sure that you look at each person who's there. The best way to do it is, if you can think about it, is sentence by sentence. Tell a sentence, then go to the next sentence, and then go to the next sentence, and then the next sentence, come back over. So if you can, try to make it, share the love among everybody. Share your answers among everybody. Interviewing. So I saw somebody put this, Janice put this in the chat box, the Dallas Pit Crew. If you want a practice interview, I highly recommend it. You can practice anytime. Just, send a resume and a job description. Well, I don't have a job description. Just find one on the internet. Find something you'd be interested in. Go, oh, that'd be a good thing to do. Yeah, I don't want to move to Spokane, Washington, but this is a great job description. Send that in a resume to the pit crew. They're doing them online. They're doing 4 to 6 of them a week right now. They're doing them all days of the week. Don't wait until you have an interview to do this. This is just really, really good. So DallasPitCrew@gmail.com, DallasPitCrew@gmail.com. And if you need help with why you're not, why you left your last job, Mark can help you out here also. Okay, a few bonus tips I want to share with everybody. Number one, visit our Career USA YouTube channel. We have over 140 workshops that have been recorded. We've recorded 2/3 of all the LinkedIn sessions. One of our LinkedIn speakers doesn't want his presentation recorded, but the other 3 are fine with it. So you can find all those there if you need some help quickly. Our interview sessions have all been recorded, and they're there. The first time we did it last summer, when we did it last fall, and then we're now recording the new ones from this winter right now. The current ones are up there. Effective Resume Thursdays, all those have been recorded, so you can go back and you can watch any of those resume sessions if you can't wait. The nice thing about our resume session, you can actually submit your resume and we will review 1 or 2 resumes at the end of each session. So we'll do it live online. You can get rid of your header information. You can become Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie, Mickey Mouse, whatever you'd like to do. So, you know, cover that because it will be on the YouTube channel and on the Facebook page live. You can do that. Also, right now, every Thursday, we will be giving away 1 month's use of jobscan.co. Jobscan.co. This is a great way to take a job description and your resume, and it'll tell you how good a match you have. So every Thursday, we give away two licenses for it. It's good for the following month, just for the exact month. So if you're interested, we are giving that away every Thursday. And then every Friday, oops, I guess I should have, sorry about that. I didn't put these up here. And then every Friday, all the North Dallas Plano career focus groups are up there as long as the speaker has approved. And we've also have the Frisco Career Transition Workshop, the 2 sessions we did back in 2020. And if we do one in 2021, we will also get that up and running, and that will be recorded on the YouTube channel. Here's what the YouTube channel looks like. Career USA YouTube channel. Click on playlist where the green arrow is, and don't click on the video, but click underneath the video. So if you want to see interviewing or LinkedIn or effective resumes, click where the purple arrow is and you see vote view full playlist, and up will come a list of all the different sessions, and then you can see what's done, and you can pick whatever video it is you want to watch. Another bonus thing, if you're not early, you're late. 5 minutes early is on time is late. So definitely a pet peeve of mine. Please, you know, please try to be there a couple minutes early. Clayton gets online 15 minutes early. You know, get online so you can network and talk to other people who are currently here. Don't wait until the very, very end. If you need to set your clock ahead 5 minutes early, please do so. Don't spend all day in front of your computer. 5 to 10% of jobs are found online, 10 to 15% are found using recruiters, 75 to 80% of jobs are found networking. Now, I guess don't spend all day in front of your computer when COVID's over and we can all get out and network with people and go see people. But, you know, don't spend your whole day searching online for jobs. You can search for line on jobs and apply for a job online. Do that at nighttime. During the day, try to have informational interviews. Try to, you know, meet other people and do things. Very, very important. Always be sure that your email has a signature line with all of your details. So every email I send out, this is the signature line you're going to get back. Okay, and this is on every email. If I reply to you, you're going to get it. If you send me an email and I happen to get it on my phone using one of my phone apps, you will also get this. You know, I get replies from people and it says from iPhone, you know, Jeff at iPhone. You know, make sure that you have got a signature line on your phone, on your tablet, on your PC or Mac, any place you send emails at, you want to make sure, because if somebody has a question, make it easy for them to be able to pick up the phone and call you, or pick up and go, well, who is this Jeff guy? Let me click on his LinkedIn profile here and see. I'm always promoting CareerDFW and Career USA, so that's why I put those links at the bottom. Please make sure your display name says who you are. Look at this first one here, WS Cougar 96. You know, Mike Gmail. Mike had no idea that his Gmail account had defaulted Gmail in for his last name until I took a screenshot and sent it to him. He was like, oh man, I never even thought about that. You know, so make sure your names are like at the very bottom, Pam Stewart, G.D. Wooten, Cecilia Young. Make sure your name is showing up correctly. If you need to, send an email to a friend and say, had my name show up. So check that display name. So if you can, please remember, I'll wrap up here, please join the CareerDFW and Career USA LinkedIn groups. Follow us on Facebook. If you do, if you hit the follow button every time we go live, you'll get a little alert for us. You can follow us on Instagram. Also, please subscribe to the YouTube channel when we post a new video. Like I said, I'll have this video up online in a couple hours or after lunch. CareerDFW, we survive on donations. Proceeds from the book go to support CareerDFW and Career USA. Please consider when you land your next opportunity, please consider making a donation so we can continue to provide the programming that we're doing every day. If you're looking for a speaker for your group, please feel free to reach out to me. Here's one of my email addresses. I've got several, but this is one. There's my LinkedIn profile and a copy of the book. This is the 185th workshop that I've put on since COVID started. So we were plowing ahead. We're putting on 4 to 6 different workshops every week. Hopefully you'll join us Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays. We're here to help. So I'll stop sharing here. If anybody has any questions, I will